right, welcome everybody to today's community call. Today's call is actually going to be a racial healing workshop called Nurturing Our Nervous System Within Beloved Community. And that'll be led by the lovely Brenda Salgado, who's the leader of the RHI program for RCC. I'm Erin McCauley. I'm the RCC admin assist. I welcome all pronouns in reference to me. And if you feel like you would like to share your pronouns, you're certainly welcome to do that. I'd also like to invite you to update your Zoom names if you'd like to include your retreat center or your organization so that we can get to know each other a little bit better. So feel free to do that if you'd like to. And I'll turn it over to Kirsten, who is a member of the RCC Stewardship Circle, to share our core values and community agreements, just to let you know how we like to share space together on our calls. Kirsten?
Thanks, Erin, and welcome everyone. It's good to see some familiar faces and some folks I have not been in this circle with before. My name is Kirsten Vandergiesen Reitsma, and I am a member of the Retreat Center Collaboration Stewardship Circle. So that's our leadership body for the RCC. And I am also the head caretaker at Gilchrist Retreat Center, which is part of the Fetzer Institute, if you've heard of Fetzer. And we're located in the ancestral homeland of the Potawatomi band, and at the intersection of the St. Joseph, the Rocky, and the Portage Rivers, which is why we're called Three Rivers. And I'm really glad to be here today. Looking forward to the wisdom and the practices that Brenda will offer us for this time, and just so glad that you all are able to join us. I will walk through the core values of the RCC, which have been part of our work really since the beginning. And I'm actually going to I'll read the paragraphs that we have to go with these, that the stewardship circle really put a lot of time and thought into, in reflection about what the RCC is for, what we do, what we stand for, what grounds us as a community. The first core value is the power of place and space. Whether in a forest hermitage, a virtual gathering, or an urban sanctuary, retreat is an invitation to enter into a space that's been set apart and intentionally designed to nurture contemplation, compassion, community, healing, and growth. Acknowledging that all places and spaces bear the weight of history, RCC members seek to disrupt patterns of exploitation and separation by designing for equity and wholeness, with deep attention to markers of intersecting identity. And the second core value is the interplay of inner and outer work. Personal and social transformation are like the inhale and exhale of breath, distinct but inseparable. Through individual and collective practices, RCC members commit to cultivate comprehensive transformation at all levels, from ourselves to our guests to our institutions. And our third value is a commitment to universal flourishing. The practice of retreat calls us to remember ourselves as part of a larger whole and to reimagine both our work and our stake in the healing of the whole. Wherever human patterns create suffering, RCC members commit to repair and renewal of relationship so that the earth and all people can be free and live into regenerative and equitable futures. So there's a lot in there, and there's a lot more on our website and in the green paper that is a guiding document for the work that we do. And if you're curious, I would welcome you to explore. And to continue adding your voice to the conversation. Even if this is your first time here, you are part of the RCC community, and this work belongs to all of us. And I'll go over our shared agreements as well. These are agreements that have been designed over time, over several years of hosting these community calls and just figuring out how we want to be together, how we want to hold space for one another, and how we want to learn what we're collectively committed to in this space. So I think I'll go through these. I'll read each one and pause, and I'll read the next one. I'll read through all of them, and then leave some space at the end to see if anybody has any questions about what we mean or how we understand any one of these agreements. Speak from your own experience. Your voice and your story are important. We are all knowers and learners in this space. Silence can be centering, and movement and sound can be too. Keep others' stories confidential and share what you learn. This is an invitational space, and participate as you are able. Hold discomfort with grace and deep listening. We are not here to fix. And finally, from Dr. Leticia Nieto, choice is the smallest unit of liberation. And that last one can take a lot of forms, and Erin already mentioned, we know everybody is busy. You have a lot of responsibilities. Take care of yourself during this time. Feel free to turn video off or pop in and out as you need to take care of things. Be mindful of what your body needs. Does anybody have any questions or want to offer any clarification for any of these agreements for our time together? Okay. Welcome to those who joined while we were going through the introduction. And I'm going to turn it over to Brenda Salgado, who's been guiding the Racial Healing Initiative work of the Retreat Center collaboration. And thank you so much, Brenda, for being with us today and bringing what you have to share with us for this challenging time.
Well, welcome, everyone. What a joy to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. It's an honor to be here with you. And thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to be together. It's been an interesting time, to say the least. A lot of change and shift happening in the world. Some of it challenging and difficult, some of it good. And we don't get to hear about the good enough. We have to remind ourselves that in community, we're always doing beautiful things. And I wanted to share a quote. I'll read it aloud to get us started. One of the people we've worked with a lot is Michelle Cassandra Johnson, who wrote a book called We Heal Together, Rituals and Practices for Building Community and Connection. She also has a book about to come out that's on the wisdom of bees and what the bees have to teach us in this time. So I'm very excited about that. And one of the retreats I was with her, we were humming together, and that felt really beautiful to hum together to the sound of the bees. But I wanted to read this out to you. Healing occurs when others witness us and when we witness each other. It happens when we know we are seen and when we deepen our ability to see others and be with them as they are, exactly as they are. It happens when we're in circle with one another, singing, celebrating, sobbing, and questioning. It happens when we take sacred pause and ask for what we need. When we are healing in community, the unraveling, unfolding, opening, and revealing occurs over time in a relationship with others. And so for that reason, I'm just really glad to be here with all of you, knowing that you're holding exquisite and beautiful space wherever you are for your community, and that those of us who hold space need to fill our cups as well if we're holding space for others. As is often the case, I had made this plan and told Aaron I'm going to do some Toltec practices, some breath and energy practices, and I'll still do that. I got guided to share some of the sun energy practice with you from the Toltec lineage. But as is often the case, I'm in connection and communication with the beloved unseen, as well as our animal and plant friends. And I just got the message that we also needed to talk about whales today. And I said, well, okay. That sometimes we need to turn to our animal friends who have a lot to teach us. And so I'm going to invite folks just to share in the chat your name, where you're calling in from. I see that Bill already did that. Yay. Thank you, Big Bear rep. So many of my dear friends teach there. I used to be the director at East Bay Meditation Center, so I know a lot of our crew goes down to your place very often. But yeah, if you would share your name, where you're calling in from, if you're representing a retreat center, so that we get a sense of who's in the room. And yeah, just would love to know where you're calling in from. And as an Indigenous person, it's important for me also just to hear everyone's voice and get everyone's voice in the room. So I'm going to also invite people just to get on, to unmute one at a time and share what drew you to come here today. Could just be a word or a sentence, nothing too long, but just what made you decide to come today.
I think for me, it's I spent yesterday honoring my mom. My mom has passed, but her birthday with my sister. And during that time, my sister and I also talked about all the things that are going on in the world, and it's just so easy to get overwhelmed. So I thought this was an opportunity to help keep some of that in abeyance.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Mary Lou, yeah? Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Anybody else want to share what made you decide to come today?
Briefly. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone else. Bill, you go ahead.
You go ahead. Oh, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I think one, I had the time in my schedule, and I honestly was debating, is this something that I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be, but I feel like there's for several years I was doing a lot of anti-racist work, and I guess you could say racial healing work, but we're in a new era. It seems like there's been, well, it doesn't seem like there has been kind of a huge, I guess you could call it pro-racism movement that's taken over our country that is scary. It's like, and I just kind of, I guess I wanted to reconnect with that value that I have of, working on racial healing.
Thank you, Bill. Glad you're here. And Tom?
Hi, everyone. So I was blessed enough our organization was blessed enough to be part of the racial healing RCC 2 years ago. So November 22, we did a racial healing retreat. And we continue to work on racial healing as an organization. And tomorrow I get to go present a total inclusion check to a friend from that retreat.
Oh, cool.
That is starting his own Black affinity group to get people outdoors. And I'm really excited about that. And I wouldn't even have that relationship with him if he wouldn't have come to our retreat. Sadly, as an organization, I do not feel like we've made as much progress that we need to, other than forming our own DEI team and really educating ourselves in total inclusion. But it's been a while since I've been on an RCC call, and this subject called to me, and like Bill, I actually had some time in my schedule today. I'm looking forward to hearing from other people.
Sarah Lynn?
Hi, everyone. I think I was drawn today partly because I missed last month's call and I was just really missing you all. So I wanted that. And then also, I just finished a weekend of training with my board of directors with a woman some of you may know, Neonu Span. She runs an organization called Beyond Diversity 101, and also another organization she co-founded, which is creating effective and inclusive organizations. And so that was an opportunity for us to go deeper into the work that we've been doing. And I was just thrilled, really, that happened. It's not easy to get our whole board of directors together in person to do a 2-day workshop with someone like that. And it was just really meaningful. And so, yeah, I want to, continue to see how Guest House can be a part of racial healing work in general.
Thank you. And we're just sharing, for those who came in later, if you feel called to share what led you to be here today. And it looks like Eve wants to go next.
I'm not feeling the greatest today and my voice isn't very good, so I might just kind of put you guys on the behind and listen. But I wanted to check in and just, well, first of all, yes, I miss you guys. I haven't been to a meeting in a while, and I'm really happy to be a part of this again. But I wanted to jump in here today, especially for the topic at hand. And for me, learning as much as I can and trying to be the best I can be, and how I can lead our group here to offer and be the best that they can be as far as racial healing. We're in North Georgia, and fortunately, we have a lot of retreats that come here, women of color retreats that come, and a lot of, when they first started coming, they were a little worried because North Georgia, they were scared to come up in the mountains of North Georgia. It didn't feel very safe for them. But they have told us that they feel that we have provided a safe space. And so I'm happy to hear that, but I know that we have a lot to learn. I'm a white person. I need to learn as much as I can about these things. And yeah, so I'm really glad that this is available for us to learn and just try to be inclusive in the best way that we can and the most loving, because that's what our goal is. So thank you so much, Brenda, for offering this education for us.
It's an honor to be here with you. And I want to do a special shout out to Ken, because I'm friends with Alex Pauline Gumbs, who wrote Undrowned Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. And when I was in prayer and meditation this morning, they said, you have to read something from that today, and you need to play a video of some whales today. And it's like, okay. And I do what I'm told. I'm very obedient to the messages that I get. So I think it's really beautiful that you happen to be reading that right now. There was a period when that book came out where a group of us, friends from all over, were in small groups reading the book together and doing the practices together and discussing the chapters. And it was a really meaningful thing to read with a group of people. So I encourage you to find others who are, or maybe find somebody else who wants to read it with you, because it's really fun to do it with a group of people. And they have in the back, there are practices for individuals, but also practices for pods or groups to practice together too. So I think that's really synchronicity, a lot of synchronicity about you reading that right now. Anyone else who feels like they want to share before we start with some whale stuff? Yes. Wendy.
There we go. I never have an easy time unmuting my microphone. I think there's a message in that. I work at a spirituality and retreat center in northern Wisconsin, and a big part of the work of this facility and the work of the religious congregation that owns and operates Marywood is a part of the truth and healing movement with between the congregations that were involved in boarding schools where Native American children were removed from their families and assimilated, and FSPA, the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, had the boarding school. It's about, I don't know, probably an hour and a half or so from where Marywood is located now. And there are the children who were at that school were from the Bad River band, primarily Bad River and probably Red Cliff bands of Ojibwe. And Marywood is located very close to the Waswaganing, the reservation of the Lac de Flambeau band. So I have a lot of reasons to be involved in racial healing right now, because that's a large part of the focus in that religious congregation, and it's time that it spreads to this community, so this geographical location. So I appreciate having the opportunity to be here for today's presentation.
Thank you for that sacred work. It's so important. Yeah, this time is very, in the Toltec calendar, it's a very specific time where we're moving from the time of the fifth sun to the sixth sun in the Toltec calendar. And these are 6,625-year cycles where we're going through big shifts in consciousness as a humanity, as a planet. And one of the things my Toltec elders have told me is that this ancestral and karmic healing is so important if we're going to make it into the time of the sixth sun. That many of us chose to be here this time to do that work together, and so I'm grateful to hear that you're doing that work. It's and my ancestors feel it too. I had a really profound experience at Standing Rock when I went as a call for spiritual leaders to come out at the time, and one of the things that happened was that there were many churches that were represented there that brought a copy of the Doctrine of Discovery, photocopy of the entire thing, and they asked to burn it in the sacred fire. And the elders said, you can't burn it in our fire because that's where we send our prayers up to our ancestors and to Creator, but you can burn it to the side. And they all read statements around their churches, and they're asking for forgiveness for their church's involvement in the genocide and the Doctrine of Discovery and boarding schools. And yeah, just I felt a lot of ancestral healing witnessing that. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It's so important in this time. Not easy and very important. Yeah. Anyone else want to share before we start? Yeah, Julie. It's such a good time for connection with each other.
Yeah, so I'm Julie Prey, and I I'm the new director of the Franciscan Spiritual Center from the Sisters of St. Francis in Philadelphia area. And so when I say new, I've just started in September, and I've never run a retreat center before, and I've never been a Catholic, and I'm not a Catholic now, and I'm not a nun. And so there's a lot of new. And so I was recommended by Nicola Torbett over at Kirkridge to come here to get support. So I was like, okay. And also the sisters here are, they're working on having a corporate anti-racist stand. And so to me, it's obvious that our spiritual center and the programs, the stuff we present should be part of that mission. So I was like, oh, well, this is very timely then. So thank you.
Nicola's a dear friend, and I was so happy when I heard she was going to Kirkridge because we knew each other in the San Francisco Bay Area. and had done a lot of movement work together. And then it was just such a funny little call because we'd been trying to start the RHI program with Kirkridge at the time, and there was some shift in leadership at the time, so that work got delayed. And then I started right around the time she was starting and taking up the mantle of doing the RHI work at Kirkridge. And it's funny, we got on a call with my team and their team, and I said, Nicola, what are you doing here? Because I remembered her being in Oakland. I didn't know she'd moved. And she said, I took a position here to be the new associate director and to lead the RHI work. And she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm the RHI director. And I was like, that's so funny. So it was just a sweet, sweet re-encounter in a different context. I love when spirit moves people around and reconnects. Anyone else feel like they want to share before we start? We want to make sure there's room for people's voices if they want to connect. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I think because the call and the synchronicities around the whales are so strong, I'm going to share a little brief video from the sperm whale. Let's see if I can find it. Screen. So coming up. Let's make sure I have it where it needs to be. That might help. Let me stop there. Let's try sharing. Yes, there it goes. Sounds of the sperm whale. So I invite you just to let go of any thoughts and just be with the sounds of the sperm whale for the next few minutes. Share sound. I always find the sounds of nature to be very soothing to my nervous system. So, and the portion I wanted to read from Undrowned is something I wanted to, is something specifically from sperm whale. So it felt appropriate to let our nervous systems connect with our kin from the sperm whale family before reading it. So I invite you to just get settled and I'll read, and I'll invite you to treat it like a Lectio Divina or a meditation, and to see what jumps out at you as I read, just to let the words wash over you without too much analyzing, but more like what is resonating with your heart or your body in this time. So this is from Undrowned, and it's in chapter 15, which is called Go Deep. What does it take to go deep, below the surface of current events and social media reactions? What would allow you to look at what is under your actions and under that and under that? Sperm whales dive a mile deep. Maybe they can give us some advice. And the ocean itself has so many depth lessons. When you think you've reached the bottom, there's sometimes still deeper to go. Take a breath. A guide for diving deeper from Cachalot, aka Phyester macrocephalus, aka the sperm whale, who can dive more than a mile deep. Some lessons on a guide for diving deeper. 1, breathe. We sperm whales can replace 90% of the air in our lungs with just one breath. We can blow our breath 17 feet high. However deep you are breathing, breathe more. Exhale longer. Breathe. Lesson 2, take responsibility for your forehead. We, for example, have a head full of wax that we can solidify like a weight to go deeper, and we can melt it to become lighter than water and to float. What is going on in your head? Be intentional with it. Number 3, hush. We stretch out our bodies 60 feet long at the surface, and then arch our backs facing down. Our tails come with us, barely creating a ripple. We are saving our energy for depth. This is not the time to splash. Number 4, be flexible. Deep in the ocean, there is pressure, a lot of pressure. It will press on your chest and your lungs will collapse. You call it heartbreak. It is not. It is how what made you embraces you, reshapes you, welcomes you back. Let it happen. Number 5, be specific in your actions. When your lungs collapse, you will need the oxygen in your blood. It is deep within your muscles. It was put there by practice. Let your practice facilitate depth. It will be there when you need it. Number 6, listen. We listen underneath our throats, not with our ears. We listen across the planet. We can hear each other click from opposite sides of the globe. Though we may seem alone, we never are. Number 7, come back. You will know when it has been enough time in the deep. It can vary. Attune to your need. Account for your nourishment. Direct your thoughts. Melt them down. Make them light. And return. So I'll read them one more time. And again, just kind of pay attention to what's calling out to you. Perhaps the one that calls out to you, that's a practice you do that is important to you, or perhaps it's an area that you'd like to cultivate. Just notice what arises for you. 1, breathe. We sperm whales can replace 90% of the air in our lungs with one breath. We can blow our breath 17 feet high. However deep you are breathing, breathe more, exhale longer. 2, take responsibility for your forehead. We, for example, have a head full of wax we can solidify like a weight to go deeper, and we can melt it to become lighter than water and to float. What is going on in your head? Be intentional with it. 3, hush. We stretch out our bodies 60 feet long at the surface and then arch our backs facing down. Our tails come with us, barely creating a ripple. We are saving our energy for depth. This is not the time to splash. 4, be flexible. Deep in the ocean, there is pressure, a lot of pressure. It will press on your chest and your lungs will collapse. You call it heartbreak. It is not. It is how what made you embraces you, reshapes you, welcomes you back. Let it happen. 5, be specific in your actions. When your lungs collapse, you will need the oxygen in your blood. It is deep within your muscles. It was put there by practice. Let your practice facilitate depth. It will be there when you need it. 6, listen. We listen underneath our throats, not with our ears. We listen across the planet. We can hear each other click from opposite sides of the globe. Though we may seem alone, we never are. 7, come back. You will know when it has been enough time in the deep. It can vary, attune to your need, account for your nourishment, direct your thoughts, melt them down to make them light in return. So I'm going to invite you to come back. And let me see how many we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like we're 14. Perhaps we could do groups of 3. And then I'll stay out. And if we need to add someone to someone, I think if you and I stay out, Erin, then it should work out. 3 groups of 4. But I would love to. Let's give, what I'd like you to do is share with each other what stood out for you. And I'm going to type in the chat the names of the lessons in case that helps you with the prompt. So they're breathe, take responsibility for your forehead, be flexible, be specific in your actions, listen, and come back. So I'll put that in there just so that you have that to refer to if it's helpful. But what I'd like is for each person to have, let's see, let's do 10 minutes in the group and everybody gets 3 minutes and then perhaps that gives a little time for the transition. So please be mindful of how much space you're taking, time, figure out time for yourself so that everyone gets an opportunity to share. And then when we come back, let's see if there's any themes that came out of your group discussion that you want to reflect back on. Uh-oh, did some of the words come out? Breathe, take responsibility for your forehead, hush, be flexible, be specific in your actions, listen, come back. Those are the overarching titles for them.
I can also broadcast a message to the group.
That'd be great. You could kind of paste it there. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So take 10 minutes in your group and then we'll come back and see what came up from our lessons from the sperm whales together.
Okay. I'm opening up rooms now. If you need help getting into your room, let me know and I can send you there.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for taking time to connect with your peers and to discuss and share with each other. It's so important when we're holding space for others that we we connect with our peers and take care of ourselves and community too. So I'm curious what came up for you. If there's something you want to share about what came up for you in terms of practice that you're already doing or that you feel like you want to lean into more, or something that arose in your conversation with your group. There were themes or threads that arose. What's on your heart from our wise teachers, the sperm whales? Yes, Mary Lou?
So from the words that you spoke to us, I was mostly taken by the saving your energy for depth, because I'm just so conscious these days of how overwhelming the issues are. And so that helped me to think, because that's what I want to remember, is that kinds of work that we do is important, and hanging on to that and not losing focus, because I think it's very easy with what's happening to do that. So that's the one that called me.
Thank you, Sarah Lynn?
I just wanted to tag on to Mary Lou because that was the one that really spoke the most to me, was just realizing that I don't take enough time to think about how much energy a deep dive can take. And so just I don't know why when you even said the word hush, it was like I don't even really know. It was like something went through my body, like almost like grandma was saying hush, like just settle down, little girl, And so anyway, it really struck me that I'm not giving myself time to prepare for the deep dives. And yeah, so I really liked that. Save some energy.
Well, because mine was hush too, that I will follow it up. But what really jumped out to me is, first of all, it's so amazing to be a grandparent. And we have a 4-year-old granddaughter. And one of the techniques that my lovely wife, who spent 25 years in elementary education with special ed, what she does with our little excited 4-year-old is go, hush, right? And this is how she gets her to calm down when she's all excited. And that's what immediately jumped to my mind. But then the image of my own grandmother probably doing the same thing to me, as you said that, Sarah Lynn, really jumped out to me. And then all of a sudden, wow, my wife is a grandmother. This doing the exact same thing. And that as an adult, the only way I can listen is to hush. So that's kind of the why, the how it jumped out at to me. And I've recently got a book of water from a deep well, and I'm really excited about reading that book. But then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, deep. Oh, so anyway, that's why it jumped out at me.
Very cool. Thank you. I love the intergenerational and grandma thing emerging.
We shared some gratitude in our group for the small guides in our lives, a toddler and a dog. These beings who walk with us and who are so embodied and just motivated by such different things, especially right now. I noticed both times I heard the words being spoken to me, what is going on in your head? Be intentional with it. And just feel so grateful for those spaces of being with other beings, who just aren't stuck in the muck with me, who can remind me that there are other ways of engaging the world that are full of joy and play and discovery and just the unfathomable depths of what I don't know, and being at peace with that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. The older I get, the more I know that I don't know, which is humbling and beautiful, but there's more to learn. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the bees. They've been greeting me a lot because the rosemary is starting to bloom in front, and that's the first thing they feed off in the spring. And yeah, I find that, like the whales, I find listening to them humming to be very meditative and settling of my nervous system. I felt that when I was watching the sperm whales earlier, and then I feel it when I'm watching the bees too. I'm gonna share in the chat, not because you need to watch it now, but in case anybody wanted to go back and watch the sperm whale video, that's the link to that. I find animal noises to be a different kind of wisdom that takes me out of my head and remember to listen to my body. So I'm very grateful for them. Any other things people want to share? Right, so we have just about, I think a little under a half hour left. So I did the description did say Toltec practice, so I feel like I need to share at least one. But I did mention earlier a little bit about the time of the fifth sun and the sixth sun, and it feels, some of you have heard some of this from me before, but I want to share a little bit. That. So the practice we're going to do, this is just, you don't need to remember any of this, but the practice we're going to do is the morning sun practice, which is specifically for our ihiyotl and our understanding of the energetic bodies that make up our auric field. One of those energies that makes up the larger auric field is our ihiyotl, which is kind of in the energetic part of our body near our liver. And it provides us life force and subtle energy from the etheric world. It helps us keep our matter in motion, which is especially good when we're struggling and feeling paralyzed by what's going on in the world. It's also when, in our understanding, when we die, this energy leaves the physical body and goes back to source and travels with us over lifetimes. And so we're going to be doing a morning sun practice that stores that energy. And even if it's not morning where you are, it will work any time of day. I think part of our teaching is just to do the sun practice at different time of day, so we have discipline around it. But I also did want to share a little bit about, when I talk about the time of the sixth sun, there's so many different indigenous calendars that talk about the time of shift we're in. In particular, there's a prophecy from South America called the Eagle and Condor prophecy. And our understanding prior to colonization was that regardless of what your gender was, you were supposed to cultivate both of your wings to fly in balance. And the condor wing is more the wing that might be known as the feminine, the intuitive, the connection with the earth and the body, the feminine. And the path of the eagle is the path of the mind, of the intellect, of doing in the physical realm. So you might say being is more condor and doing is more eagle, and the eagle is more masculine. But this isn't about a gender. It's about understanding that regardless of what your gender is, you're supposed to cultivate both wings to be a human that flies in balance and to be a human that lives primarily from the heart. And the integration of the healthy form of those two things in balance. And this is a time where we're supposed to be coming back to that. For those folks that have this prophecy, the understanding over 500 years ago was that folks who had decimated their own condor medicine and their own ways of knowing, that disconnection with the earth and the feminine, and disconnection with their own indigenous and ancestral practices, were now taking over the world and trying to impose that imbalance, and that many of these ways would have to go underground because it would be dangerous to practice publicly, and that when we reach a certain point in the calendar, these ways would have to come back out so everybody could return to that fullness and that balance and come back together as a human family. So we talk about the sacred hoop and all the colors of the medicine wheel coming back together in this time. And then separate from that, but related, the time of the sixth sun, it relates to the Toltec calendar and a lot of kind of larger calendars related to cosmological cycles and lessons that humanity is supposed to be going through. And we're ending the time of the fifth sun right now and entering into the very beginning time of the sixth sun at the moment. And there's some lessons there around karma that we may be carrying in our ancestral line from these other suns that have passed. But I won't go into the details of all those. I'll just more talk about the fifth and sixth sun, which we're right in the middle of. The fifth sun is known as the knife of justice, of duality, of all the isms, racism, sexism, war, the disconnection from the earth and the harm towards the earth. And then the time of the sixth sun that we're supposed to be starting is we call it, is coming into our Quetzalcoatl consciousness. It's about going back into that eagle condor balance as human beings and as communities. But my Toltec teacher said he says, don't get fundamentalist about any of it. What we call Quetzalcoatl consciousness, others might call unity or Buddha or Christ consciousness. And so the mystics don't have as much conflict as the theologians around these things, because it's more about dropping in and being in the practice. And in this place of reclaiming our healthy balance, we can co-create with the universe. We can find a place of integration, be in our purpose. And it's a time that we're supposed to be very focused on our inner path. The fifth sun was very external facing and looking for solutions outside. The sixth sun, all these things are cyclical. It's about more being on the inner path. And in particular, our teachers talk a lot about clearing ancestral and trauma energies in this times in order to be able to reach that consciousness. So so much of my work and purpose has been around the racial, the ancestral, and the land healing, and seeing that as a braid for me that can't be separated. They're all together. The other thing that's been passed orally is that when we're in these transitions between the suns, that there's a lot of natural disaster, a lot of death, and a lot of systems collapse because the systems were built in the consciousness of the last sun. So again, they've been kind of preparing us for the last couple of decades for this time, saying this time is coming and we have to prepare and do our inner work and do our ancestral work and our healing work with the land in order to meet this time in a particular way. And so, again, I won't go into a lot of detail here, but some of the things that will help in this time is rebalancing and honoring sacred feminine, more relationship with the earth, the moon, the water, with the dream time, mystic practices for working in the dream time. And that's one of the things my teachers talk about. Like they said, in the same ways that we've seen mindfulness and yoga take over the globe and travel places, we're going to see the dream practices of different traditions begin to spread in the time of the sixth sun. But supporting sustainable, environmentally friendly systems and communities, gender equality, gender fluidity, respect, facing and solving our underworlds, our shadows, personally and ancestrally is important. And being in our reconciliation with our relationships with each other and with the non-human world as well, our ancestors, Mother Earth, the Earth Guardians, all those things. So I understand this kind of time that we're in a particular context. Not that I don't hold sadness about what's happening, but I understand it in that context. Certainly they had told us years in advance that people were going to be dying in 2020. So COVID did not surprise me. And again, made me very sad and lost people I care about. But is very much a time of the inner work. So you as people holding retreat centers, inviting people back into nature and connection with Mother Earth, helping people be in the connection of inner practice and remembering to connect with their bodies and their breath. And it's part of bringing this time about. So I'm grateful for, most of you did not go into this work because it brings you a lot of money. There's lots of other things you could have been doing, but for whatever reason, you were called to hold space. So I'm grateful to you for doing that. And so in that context, I want to teach you one practice for filling up with life force energy. This is a practice I usually do with the sun in the morning before 10 a.m. But when I'm in a pinch, I'll do it at any time of day. And so I'm just gonna, if you feel comfortable practicing with me, I'm just gonna invite you to close your eyes and to sit in a way where you feel your dignity. And to take a few deep breaths in and out. As you're breathing in and out, Just see if you can send some energy down through your feet to Mother Earth, to the core, just down through the roots, perhaps through the floor, through the foundation of where you are, down into the earth below that, traveling down to the core of Mother Earth. And what we're doing is just sending some gratitude and love and appreciation for all the ways the earth provides for us: food, medicine, home, lumber for our homes. So many things. It just allows us to ground and resettle our nervous systems when we're in connection with the earth. And saying thank you as children who receive from a very generous mother. And allow some of that energy to come back up through your feet in that connection, providing you some grounding, some nourishment. And feeling that connection with the divine below, by however, whatever term you might call that, or connect with that. Knowing that this is the place of our rooting and our grounding as children of the earth. And making a commitment to be in gratitude on a daily basis for the ways that she supports us and grounds our body here. And as you're allowing that energy and connection, see if you can also send some gratitude up through your crown out towards the cosmos, towards the galaxy. In addition to being a child of the earth, we're also a child of the universe. And sending gratitude towards Creator by whatever name you might know, ancestors, the stars, the galaxies that we are a part of. Perhaps to your higher self, or to any guides that guide you on this path in that direction. And as you're sending gratitude in that direction, just allowing that energy and relationship to come back so that we're feeling our connection above and below, our eagle, our condor, our spirit, our humanness at the same time, and feeling the energy of those things that are true, that we're both divine and human in this particular time and place. And feeling the energy of that centered in our heart. And as we're sitting here, also feeling the 7 generations who came before us, behind us, again, centered at our heart, that made us possible, that dreamt us into being in all their beauty and joy and challenge, and all their gifts as well. Known and unknown. Some of them we know their names, some we don't. Some stories we know, some we don't. And just give thanks, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And feeling in front of our heart, extended out forward, and the 7 generations yet to come, some born, some yet to be born, who will be children of the 6th sun and beyond. And we're calling us to do this work for ourselves and for community and for future generations. That as our ancestors prayed us into being, we pray them into being through our practice and through our commitment to growth and learning and healing. So as you're centered in that heart place, just continue to breathe in and out. And I'm going to ask you to visualize your connection with the sun. So sending some gratitude out towards the sun, for giving us life, for making life possible, food possible, so many things, the warmth on our skin. And as you do so, I'm going to invite you, as you take the next 4 breaths, with each breath, to offer gratitude with your breath to the sun. The first breath, offering the best energy of our thoughts, the best energy of our feelings, best energy of our dreams and intentions, the best energy of our actions. And we do that to be in a relationship with the sun in order to ask for, in a good way, for energy. So as you begin to breathe in and out in a moment, I'm going to ask you to breathe in a particular way where you're swallowing the energy of the sun, or breathing in through your mouth, taking a swallow, and then breathing out. And as we do that, we're going to be storing energy. You're going to visualize sun life force energy being stored in your ihioto or in your liver area, so in the right side of your abdomen. And in our tradition, this is for life force energy. So I'm just going to guide you and just follow along. We'll do 13 breaths, swallowing the energy of the sun. So first breath, pulling in the air in your mouth. And then swallow and release. And you're visualizing that life force energy going into your ihioto to give you abundant life force. Do a second breath for life force for you. Swallowing and releasing and visualizing that energy supporting your life force center in your ihioto in your kidney or liver area. If there are places in your body that you feel like could use some extra life force, perhaps there's an injury or an illness or soreness, visualize the next breath going to the place, going first to your liver and then moving to the place that needs it. Third breath. Swallow and release. I have a little tenderness in my lower right back, so I'm sending some life force energy there to assist with the healing and vitality for that area. And if you don't have a specific place, just allow it to be stored in your life force center in your ihioto in the liver area, so that it can be stored for future use. Fourth breath. Swallow and release. Fifth breath. Swallow and release. Sixth breath. Swallow and release. Seventh breath. Swallow and release. Allowing that morning sun life force energy to be stored in your life force center. And the first 7 of the 13 are for us to do our work, to do our healing, to vitalize our own body and our energetic body. And the next 6 of the 13 will be for work that we do with others. So my teachers have taught me half should be for you, half should be for your work with others. So you're not healing people out of your own life force, so that you have abundant energy and are not depleted in your work with others. So this next 6 breaths will be for you to store for your work with others. 8th breath. Swallow and release. Storing that energy for future use and work with others. 9th breath. Swallow and release. 10th breath. Swallow and release. Storing that energy in your liver area for your work with others and for your purpose in the world. So you have abundant life force energy for the things that you're responsible for. 11. Swallow and release. 12. Swallow and release. 13. Swallow and release. With the cycle of 13, give thanks for the first cycle, for this life force energy for ourselves and for others. I give thanks for this sacred relationship with grandfather son, the opportunity to store energy for our own well-being and for our work with others. And we're going to do a second set. In the second set, we'll be storing the energy in the same area, but in this time we will be also partnering and connecting with the hummingbird energies of the universe. In our relationship with the hummingbird energies of the inner universe, we have the capacity to do miraculous healings and to do miraculous things with ourselves and in our work with others, but only because we're in relationship and partnership with hummingbird energies of the universe. And so for this next round, the first 7, I'm going to ask you to store energy to trust your body's capacity to heal and to do miraculous healing when we're connected to the rhythms and the energies of the universe. So if there's things that you're working with, the first 7 will be to help you with your own healing or to store for future use for yourself if you're struggling with healing. So again, same rhythm. First breath, swallowing the energy. Swallow and release. Thanking that hummingbird energy for coming and storing the capacity to self-heal and the energy to self-heal. We have these miraculous bodies that know how to self-heal, and so we're asking for that energy to heal. Second breath. Swallow and release. There's places in your body that you want to take that energy to. Take that energy there. Or you can store it in your EHEO for future healing. Third breath. We also give thanks to the hummingbird energy because it helps us to transmute any patterns of anger, rage, or unforgiveness from our ancestral line that may be passed down to us that we don't know about, that blocks our life force and our capacity to self-heal. So again, we thank that hummingbird energy for transmuting and healing anything in our line that was passed down that blocks our life force and causes illness and disease in us. Fourth breath. Releasing. Fifth breath. Releasing. Sixth breath. Releasing. Giving thanks to those hummingbird energies for partnering with us to do miraculous things that alone we couldn't do. That in partnership with the universe, that we can do great things in partnership. Seventh breath. Give us healings in our own body. Amplifying the life force for a body to self-heal. And the next 6 we're going to store for future use and work with others to be able to do miraculous things with others, whether it's around healing or the work that we're doing in the world, that we're partnering with the hummingbird energy to have additional life force to do things that others might think are impossible, but in partnership with the universe, the way is made clear. So 8th breath. Swallow and release. 9th breath. Swallow and release. 10th breath. Swallow and release. Giving thanks to that hummingbird energy for partnership and life force energy for great healing, for partnership with the universe to do miraculous things as a child of the universe. 11th breath. And release. 12th breath. Release. And 13th breath. Swallow and release. Well, it's our second cycle of 13. Clap my hands together. I give thanks to Grandfather Sun for the opportunity to be in sacred relationship, for the life force that you give to this whole planet, that grows our food, that nourishes the soil, keeps us alive, keeps us warm. Thank you for this opportunity to store energy. Also want to thank the hummingbird energies of the universe for an opportunity to store energy for miraculous self-healing and and for giving us energy so that our body can do its job of self-healing that it's meant to do, and to help us clear anything that blocks our life force energies, anything that has been passed down our line. Know that with your partnership, we can clear things miraculously. And so we just give thanks, and we ask to store this energy with integrity and healthy boundaries, and to use this energy in ways that speak to love, integrity, and honor for ourselves, and that we honor the sovereignty and the love of others as well, that we work with integrity, store this energy with integrity, and work with this energy with integrity to do good things in the world for ourselves and for others. And with that, and then on the count of three, I'm going to invite you to come back. 1, 2, 3. And feel free to open your eyes and come back in. If you need to wiggle your body or stretch, to do so. You need to shake. We have just a few minutes. Thank you for allowing me to share a practice that my elders have shared with me that have brought me so much nourishment in my life and that keep me from getting depleted. One thing I'll say is if you choose to do this again, because it'll be on the recording, I also have a recording if you want it separate so that you can just listen to the audio recording. But you may find it difficult to swallow at the beginning and to just take your time. It gets easier as you practice. We have probably about 2 or 3 minutes for questions or any feedback, or if something came up for you that you felt like you wanted to share. Sometimes people get images or visions or energies running through them, whatever. It's different for everyone, and I trust that everyone's experience is the right experience. So I'll give a minute or 2 to see if there's any questions or experience that people want to share. It's okay if you don't want to, too. Just like to make space. Nancy?
Brenda, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. That was so beautiful. Yeah, so lovely. And also to share, I feel like there's so much hope in what you're saying about the sixth sun. And I've heard the Mi'kmaq grandmothers here talk about the opening of the eastern door.
Yes,
And if we can also, like, I feel like what Kirsten said about the beings that embody, and also that there is a shift afoot. It is very hard right now, but that so many traditions are believe this and hold this, and I think it's part of the clicking. So I just thank you for this hopeful, beautiful, connecting all of you. Thank you.
I definitely want to connect more offline, Nancy, about that, because I've been talking to Sherry Mitchell, and she's been doing that ceremony called Healing Turtle Island, and it started at the eastern door, and she's gotten a clear direction that it's supposed to move to the western door this fall, and she wants me to help organize it here. So I feel like you're supposed to be part of that. So we'll talk about it. Any other shares, reflections, questions? Oh, I love that your dogs fell asleep. That's so sweet. Well, thank you. I do know that Erin has an announcement, so I want to make space for that. And while she's doing that, I'm going to paste a link in the comments to the practice if you want the audio recording of this and would like to do it again. There's actually 4 sun practices. We only did 1 in our practice. You do the morning sun for the Life Force Center. You do the midday sun for the throat, what we call totonokayos, is similar to chakras. And this is for your staff of power and holding your staff of power with integrity, speaking your truth. And then in the sunset, you're storing in the heart or teolia area. This is for shedding things that don't serve you anymore. It's the same practice, but you're storing it in a different place. And then in the nighttime, right before you go to bed, once it's dark out. You store in your nahual, which is in your abdomen area, and you're storing energy to be a lucid dreamer and to co-create with spirit in the dream time, to have the energy to be powerful in your lucid dreaming. And so if folks are interested in the other recordings, just reach out to me and I'll share those as well. But I'll just share this one for people to start with. And if it feels like something you want to learn more about, I'm happy to share the other recordings after you've done the morning one for a little while. Then the other ones will be easy for you to pick up. All right, I'll pass it over to Erin for
thank you so much, Brenda.
announcements.
I'll actually kick it over to Kirsten first to give an announcement that she has, and then I'll take it.
Yeah, I wanted to share with this circle that the RCC Stewardship Circle, our leadership group, will be in retreat next week from Monday through Wednesday. Brenda will be there with us. We'll be at Pendle Hill, just outside Philadelphia, and wanted to mention that for whatever kinds of energy and prayers you would want to send the way of this leadership group, this stewardship circle during those 3 days. We've been through a year of a lot of transition and a lot of questions and a lot of discernment. So we're holding a lot as we go into that time, and have a lot of hope and also questions that we'll be caring for and seeking the collective wisdom around that. So thank you for whatever you can send our way during that time. And then I'll send it over to Erin for, I guess, a related announcement.
Yeah. So our next community call is going to be March 18th, and that's going to be a call with the whole stewardship circle to update the community on the continuing RCC evolution. So we would love to have folks come and join us and participate in that discussion to share the community wisdom and what insights you have to share, and just to let you know what's going on too. So yeah, I'll post a link in the chat, and thank you so much for joining us, and hope you can join us in March as well. Enjoy the rest of your days. Be safe. Take care of each other. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone, it's so lovely to see you. Have a good day.